Hail, hail, boys and girls. The Celts are here. I've got the tunes on. It's a Friday. We're here for the weekly catch-up. We've got a Brendan Rodgers press conference to go through, as well as a little bit of a poll in the live chat. If you're watching this live, Fist Bumps Tees all on arrival, of course, for what the kind of the top story, what the thing that's really been making waves this week. We've got 4 very interesting choices. So if you are watching us live and loud, be sure to smash a vote into the poll, and we'll be discussing as much of that as we can in the show today. We've also had a lot of it happen today as well, so maybe some of that will be a bit more recent and some of it maybe be drifted into the background. But yeah, get a vote in the poll, smash the like button, and we previewed the game last night. So we already went through predicted 11s and how we expect the team to go, etc. last night. More than happy to pick up with that again after we hear from Brendan. Now, it's been international breaks. We've not had one of these streams in a little while, but the last little while, if I can just say that again, probably quite bad vernacular, but we've been watching along with these. You guys have been really enjoying it for the most part. We've had some meat on the bone. We've had some spice going around. So the words of Brendan have been very pertinent and have been something we've all been waiting for with bated breath. I was at a press conference myself 2 weeks ago asking about Balakwisha and a few other parts of the team. So hopefully today you guys enjoyed the stream that we're back up with, because we're out of the international break and we are getting back to domestic action. And you know what it's all about then. It's all about the football. Now, we do have lots of other stuff that's not about the football and is about the football. It's all intertwined. I get that. I'm not trying to diminish it in any way, of course. But we're going to start with this and we'll go around the houses. We've got lots of other stuff to talk about in the show today as well. If you're watching this after we've been live, huge fist bumps to yourself. Please do smash the subscribe button if you've not done so already. If you do enjoy the stream at any point, please do smash the like button. And if you did miss last night's stream, where we went through the Dundee preview, the predicted team for us, and yada yada, feel free to check that out. There's plenty of time. The game's Sunday, early kickoff, so you don't need to watch it today. You don't need to watch it yesterday. You can watch it tomorrow morning. So that's the great thing about YouTube here. With all the on-demand content we've got here at CeltsAreHere, you can pick it up really at your leisure. The only little thing I need to do before we can get the show on the road is just double check my headphones are connected to the old computer, which I don't think they are. Now, I've still not got my white or my green headphones, so I'm really sorry. I'll be asking Santa for them at the very least, but you'll need to persevere with me today as we go through this. But I've not listened to the press conference yet. I was tempted to maybe catch it before coming on, and then I had to kind of catch myself, and I thought, okay, well, save it for the stream because we've got lots to get stuck into, and you guys seem to enjoy the take by take. It's only 13 minutes today, so less discussion, it feels like. And we maybe have some Brendan chat to have off the back of this anyway. So it'll be really interesting to see if any of those topics make their way into the press conference we've got this afternoon. Good to see you all. And yeah, get voting on the poll, smash the like button, hit subscribe if you've not done so already. Let me know your thoughts and feelings, your score predictions ahead of the weekend. And let's hear from the man, Brendan.
Do you want to start with the injuries then, Brendan? How is everyone ahead of this weekend?
Did you see that? We football.
Dizan will be out.
That's fun.
He felt his...
Dizan will be out. What? What? 9 seconds in, Brendan. Love the delivery. Love the delivery. McBride's actually messaged me. I managed to get all, and I've got a lot of them. I managed to get all of my Dizan Maedas out of my fantasy football teams. But by the way, isn't that fun? Now try it on the stream here today when you hit the like button. Do you get this little look at my screen? Look at the wee football that comes up. Does it obviously know Celtic's football? Does it know we're football? Hit the like button, tell me what happens. Whether you've been live or after live, maybe it'll be different. So no matter when you're watching this, feel free to do it. But no, that can't be right. No, that can't be right. I swapped. Oh, no, that's a different team. That's a different team. I did see a Maeda there, which freaked me out, but I managed to get them all out. I was going to show you the lineups there, but they're not sitting in a... Oh, no, can I show you them? I don't think so. No, sorry. It doesn't matter anyway. But yeah, I managed to get all my Dysons out. I didn't realise he was out, but we've got a lot of not another penny in the chat. Love to see the support for the fan movement here in the chat. Good to see you all live and loud. But yeah, no Dyson. Let's hear why.
His hamstring a little bit at the towards the end of the last game against Motherwell. He went away internationally to see if it would get better, but he obviously didn't play when he was away. So so he will miss this weekend, and we'll assess it after that.
I did find it weird that he didn't get a minute for Japan. Normally, they're quite good at giving all the players that travel minutes, because it is a lot of travel that the Japan team ask of their European-based players. I did find that odd. So it's interesting that that's what's happened. It's been a hangover from the Motherwell game.
Paolo's been ill, so we'll see how he recovers the next 24 hours. Apart from that, everyone okay.
Alice Johnson?
Yes, Ali's back in training, which is great news for us, and hopefully all been well. Finalise the squad tomorrow, but hopefully, he's good to go.
Fantastic news. And that was one of the things we weren't too sure about last night is, like if Brendan said, like everything he just said, but he's been taking it slow, we've been building him up, I think you would expect to come off the bench at the weekend. But from everything he's just said there, I think AJ is in the frame to start, which is great for us. I think we really want him for midweek and obviously Hearts next weekend. So I don't think we want to overburden him. We're still likely to see Donovan or Ralston in his place at some point. But that sounds to me like if he wakes up tomorrow and he's fine, Ali's going to start.
How do you assess the start to the season, Brendan? Probably that the start of the season is now over. This really starting to get into it. How do you assess what you've done so far and what needs to improve for you over the coming months?
Well, I think it's always a challenge, the European aspect of everything, and there was a lot obviously made of the past and what has happened, but really it's addressing now the future going forward. We've been showed glimpses of our game in a lot of our domestic games, but just need to find a more consistent level, and of course that's something that we and something I'm really looking forward to doing. The players here, they're working very, very hard. We had a really good victory in the last game against a good team that were unbeaten in the league so far. So we knew we had to really work for that, and we showed our spirit and our quality by the end of that game. So we want to continue on that vein. Now the focus is very much on the 7 games in 21 days, and that's my only focus.
I said it was 7 games in 25 days. Was that maybe talking about from when the video went out? Maybe something like that. Or no, I was imagining when the players come back from international break. That's what I was thinking. But I guess he's taking it from Sunday. Fine. But yeah, big period. And interesting to hear Brendan there talk about, like the challenges we've had already in the season. And yeah, he has sounded a bit subdued, doesn't he? Some of the comments. I think that was Strangelove that said that one. Why did the club release Dyson? I think, Dyson's quite good in that sense of like, there's another comment from San Fran talking about it'd be madness to risk him. And I think that's probably the view that's been taken on it. But I think he would have been fine enough. And Dyson's very much on, in a weird way, like he's very much on the fringe of the Japan squad while also being quite an important member of the squad, because we have seen him used in key World Cup matches already, centre forward. And we've seen that they can play without him and still batter teams and still look like a very good outfit. And when you look at the squad, how many amazing players, how many high-level players are in it, it's not as if they're stuck for choice. So I think Dyson's very keen to keep his foot in the door. I don't think he wants to not show up for school, as it were. And yeah, maybe he's just got there and everyone's went, nah, it's not worth it, So don't mind that. And if we are not going to play him this weekend, down to the air miles is kind of how you think of it. I think that's just to make sure he's okay for Sturm Graz. The Sturm Graz game, as we said, we dropped a video on the channel a few days ago. The next 7 matches are all must win. And Sturm Graz at home, it's a game we cannot afford to take any chances.
What do you expect from Dundee? It can be a difficult trip up to Dens.
Yeah, always our record there is very, very good as a club over numbers of years. But this still doesn't make it an easy place to go. I think Stephen will have them really well organised. He'll have them competitive. They've shown already this season that they can get good results and performances. So we know coming back after the international game, we need to get our fluency and get our tempo into the game as quickly as we can and look to make it really difficult for them, hopefully.
Brendan, I don't know if you're aware, but the kind of fans group, the Celtic Fans Collective, have put out a statement today, no more penny to the club. Is there a concern that the divide between the supporters and the club is getting deeper?
Well, one, I haven't seen that, but two, I would say, listen, the Celtic supporters are at the heart of this club. That is what Celtic is synonymous with, and hopefully going forward, we can find that balance that allows that great support to spill onto the field, and obviously we have that harmony on the throughout the club. So, but until then, I'm sure both parties will continue discussing. In the meantime, it's really about affecting what we can, and that's on the pitch.
And just on.
Now, really interesting. There is some stuff to talk about, Brendan, away from all this stuff, and there's maybe like his position right now is the fans are at the centre of the team, and he's the one that's really, I don't want to say on the fence in the sense of he's not like, but he is like in the middle. He sees both sides of he's inside dealing with all this stuff, and he's then like going to the stadium and playing the matches and hearing from all of us before, during, and after the game. So I mean, on the fence in that regard, where he's like in the middle of the crossfire, as it were. So I think that's would you want a wee bit more, I don't know, bite back's the word, but a bit more like we're going to get I don't know. I think he's fine, isn't he, talking about this? But I do think there's a clip going out. You'll be able to find it on BBC Match of the Day Twitter account and probably their Facebook account and all the rest of it. But there'll be an interview released with Brendan tomorrow with the football interview. This is the page for it on BBC iPlayer. I thought it would be available today. It's not available till tomorrow. 6 a.m. BST is what it said. I'm pretty sure. So watch out for that coming out tomorrow morning. There's like the clip that goes around talks about how Celtic is the highest pressure job you're probably going to find in the world, and being at the Premier League by comparison is like being on holiday. Obviously, earlier this week there is murmurs. TalkSport are quoted as saying Brendan is open to a return to the Premier League after Celtic, and there's been other kind of wee whispers in the background there. So when he does talk like that, it's a really safe position for him to take. He's not really ruffling any feathers with the club, and he's keeping us on board as possible. Not to say there's any malice or he's not genuine in his anything with that, but it's just he's in quite an easy spot, I think, to just copy and paste that one.
Just on that, do you think it can have any impact on the team in any way?
Well, we have to control that, or try and influence that as much as we possibly can. I think, on a day-to-day basis up here, out on the training field, of course, it doesn't. Our focus is very much on training, developing, preparing the team, and then obviously bringing that out onto the match day, and then from that we get the great support, and they can hopefully push the team, and that's all you can hope for.
Brendan, do you always feel that yourself and the team can be caught between the two, because you can see both sides of the debate almost? You see what the fans want, and you can also see what the board might be getting at, and where they come from as well. Do you feel that sometimes you and the team can be stuck between the middle?
No, I just think that I can really only affect going forward and affect the future of the team, and influence as best you can. You can't control everything in terms of as a manager, but you can certainly influence, and the biggest influence is for the players and the training and the team, and that's what we have to focus on.
In terms of the meeting, Brendan, that took place last week between some figures from the club's board and fan representatives, as manager, were you given any feedback to what was discussed, or do you try and separate yourself from that as much as you can?
No, I get to understand and get to hear a little bit, but of course that remains closed. What we'll speak about.
How difficult is it, Brendan, and how frustrating is it when you've still got all these kind of things bubbling in the background? You look at the moment that you guys had in the last game, but there was a real togetherness when that last minute winner goes in. You really think that's getting put to the back burner, and then it's the international break that started to bubble up again.
Yeah, like I said, I think that with my experience, you tend to try to focus on what you actually can do. I think you go too deep into it. And of course, we want the synergy throughout the whole club. That's what we all want. We all want what's best for Celtic. So, but like I say, control what you can, and which is the football element, and look to do that on the pitch and on the training pitch every single day, and that's really where my focus is. I try to not get too involved. Of course, I'm involved. I love Celtic. I love managing Celtic. I want Celtic to be the very best every single season. So of course, there's a focus there on the general health of the club. But like I said, it's for me to focus on the performance level of the team, and that won't be clouded at all. I need to make sure that we perform and we make results.
Still a while before the transfer window opens again. You linked with Bobby Clark. Is there anything you can tell us about that?
I see that it's one that's come from a long way out, that one. But I wouldn't normally say anything on anything, but it's I really don't know where that has come from at all, especially in October. So yeah, that's I'm really not sure where that's come from.
Is it in line what happened at the last window, Brendan, that is a real urgency?
There's a little important footnote to add with that. Brendan's got no idea where that comes from. Brendan obviously knows where we're at with recruits and targeting and ideaing and negotiating. Just as a little footnote.
When you're doing business, if you do business, it's early doors come January.
Yeah, listen, for the overall
question.
Health of the club, like I say, it's not just about one window.
Yeah.
You know, the club is about progressing each time you go through each window. That's the whole idea. And obviously, when January comes, the squad, if it needs strengthening, then that's what hopefully can be done. But we're quite away from that yet. So if you can just park that for a few more weeks, then we can focus on the football here now.
You mentioned the 7 games in 21 days. Does this feel at the start of a kind of intensive spell for the club?
I think it's a really exciting spell for the club. I think that that early part of the season, where sometimes you are playing one game a week, and obviously we've had some of the European games as well. But I think when you come into this period, and then especially after the break in November, you're really starting to get into the thick of it then. So, but there's no doubt this period now, between now and the next break, is some big games in there, some really important games. But it's for us to really embrace and really take on the challenge, and let's just do it.
It's exciting. 7 days as well. Big game next Sunday. It's going to somewhere like Dens Park on Sunday. Does that put extra pressure on you? Somewhere you haven't lost for so long, as you mentioned earlier. It was 1988 since Celtic last lost there.
Yeah, well, I haven't really thought of it. I didn't know the date, but I now know. So yeah, it never comes into the consideration, really. I think that we
see at this point. Why, you know, and I've only been at a few of these things, right? So I can't really speak too out of turn, right? But we're 10 minutes in. You're asking about the pressure of winning at Dens Park because of what I get. Stephen Presley brought it up, and it's maybe a bit of a talking point, right? But he told us right at the beginning that Dyson Maida's not going to play this game. Why are we not asking him? And even with some of the other, like the question prior, like about this period of games, and he said, "Oh, it'll be exciting." Who are you excited to see? Who do you think is going to step up? Who could be the main man for Celtic in this period?
We go into the games. I've always enjoyed going to there. It's a nice big open pitch. And
now we're just going to hear about Brendan giving us the tourism pitch for Dens Park.
We always get a great support there. So yeah, we know it'll be a difficult game. Stephen will ensure that. You know, he'll have his team really, really well organised. They'll work very hard, but the onus will be on us to bring our game to hopefully make the result.
How have you found the sort of new setup with international breaks? Brendan, obviously you've got these 7 games now, you try and get a bit of rhythm up, but it's been quite difficult to do that when you've had these.
Yeah, I think the preference would have been ideally was that you'd lose one of these and put them in. Whether you had a break in January would have been the ideal scenario. So yeah, it is that little bit challenging for, of course, to find that rhythm. But there's still enough games in there, and we all know it's there before the start of the season. We all know, and you just want to make sure that you can find your performance level whilst you're playing and get to the next international break in a good place.
Brendan, I think this is the first time we've had a chance to speak to you since Russell Martin unfortunately lost his job at Rangers. What was your reaction to the news? Were you surprised that he was given such a short period of time, albeit there was obviously fans protesting?
Well, I think you're always disappointed when any manager loses his job, and
we're finishing off talking about Russell Martin. See, like I did say this a few weeks ago, we did do these streams all the time, and there wasn't always too much stuff to get into, and we were maybe a bit more like, okay, fine, you want his opinion on Russell Martin, fine, but like, come on, he's just told you Maeda's out, Alistair Johnson's back in the fold, Stroop Gratz is midweek. Surely we've got more stuff to find out about the team. How did boys come back from international? All sorts of stuff, man.
And Russell be no different. It was a challenge that he learned from in his career. He's got many more years left as a coach and a manager, and I've always said when you manage here at Celtic or Rangers, the pressure is it really is relentless, and you find out things about yourself in this role, in this job, and I'm sure he will have done that. So but yeah, I wish him all the best, and he'll probably have a bit of time out and then look to go again and use this experience.
So your interview this morning, you said a job in the Premier League sometimes can feel like a holiday compared to up here. Is that something underestimated? You saw the kind of.
That's the link I was talking about before the clip. So that'll be out tomorrow. That full interview.
Told that it took on Russell, aside these jobs.
Yeah, I think it's something that, especially probably more so for people, if you're down south and without knowing the level and the intensity and the sheer size of the clubs up here, and especially as we say, Celtic Rangers, they're huge clubs, and I've always said that this job here is right up there in terms of pressure, from managing it in different clubs in the Premier League at different times, a promoted club, a mid-table club, and a top club. Celtic is right up there at the very top in terms of pressure and resilience needed. So yeah, it is a challenge for every manager, especially coming into Celtic and Rangers, and you only hope that you can meet that pressure and deal with that and somehow succeed.
Brendan, just wondering if I could ask you about, it looks like Kevin Muscat is going to be appointed at Rangers. He spent most of his career in Asia and in Australia. Is he someone that you've ever come across in your career? And also when your rivals appoint a new man?
Brendan, why don't you interview the Rangers manager? You ever thought about that? Brendan, have you ever thought to yourself, why don't I interview the next Rangers manager? Why don't I?
New manager, is it?
I normally really like this guy. The guy's asking the question. I think he normally asks some great stuff. I think he asked some of the better stuff early on, if I remember rightly. But what are we talking about, man?
Is it like a challenge you welcome, or do you not pay too much heed to it?
I think every team that changes manager, you always
see if they were hiring Gerrard or Van Bronckhorst or someone that is like relevant, like to either someone that's a big name, like Rafa Benitez was, I think, the ones that they were praying for. Sean Dyche. If it was like somebody like there's an actual relevance to here, former Rangers player, a former opponent of Brendan's, a former colleague, or a big name, Oh, by the way, see Kevin Muscat, who you've never met before and who's been coaching in China and Japan and Australia for the last 15 years. Have you got anything to say about him, Brendan?
You accept and take on the challenge of new ideas and that freshness that they may bring. Yeah, Kevin, I came across, I don't know Kevin that well, but I came across him a few times when I was at Liverpool. He came in to train him when I was manager at Liverpool, and spent some time with him there. And then, of course, when we travelled then over to Australia with Liverpool and met him and Ange when I was there. So yeah, as I said, I don't know him that well, but he's done a really good job in the teams that he's been at in Asia, and if he's to be the new manager coming in, then it's another new challenge, and as I said, for us, we'll be ready for it.
Yeah, that's why we didn't do these streams all the way through the season, so anyway. And I don't mind a wee bit of like, how bad is the question? I don't mind a wee bit of that banter. It's all good. It's all in good fun, isn't it? So anyway, that's us from Brendan. He did say if we strengthen in a window, he was kind of chatting about that. Somebody in the comment section did pick it up before it came out. So I just wanted to kind of highlight that again. If you are live and loud, we've got a poll running for story of the week. We're looking at Lennon x Desmond. And if you don't know what that means, Lennon came out and was like smelling some farts basically for Desmond and the board, calling him ultra genius and all that other stuff. Rodgers not extending. I mentioned this before. And again, he's kind of laughed, talk sport, whatever, right? Fine, I get it. But Alex Crook is talking to people in the know around all the Rangers stuff, and it came across his desk. Was it somewhat fed to him, perhaps, or planted or put out there that Brendan would be open to not extending at Celtic with the view of returning to England thereafter? So I've just put Rodgers not extending here. There has also been other rumours and whispers around of seeing a similar nature, but the TalkSport one is just the one that's kind of you can reference where it came from, kind of idea. We then get transfer rumours, which is 0% of the vote. Brendan just kind of quashed that, so I get it. And then the other one we've got is the merch drop that we had today of the Special and the Terrace Icon editions for Celtic. Now, Celtic kind of did this, or not Celtic, sorry, Adidas did this as like a blanket thing across the board. So I'll maybe pull up if you want to see it, but like Aston Villa, like every other big Adidas club, got the exact same kit as us that came out today, the big thing that everyone's making a fuss about. So this is very much an orchestrated Adidas promotion, and the Special range is like your collector's edition stuff. So everything that happened today around that, like just to kind of put this out there at the beginning of any discussion around the merch drop, I think Celtic have had zero control over it. Zero. I don't think I would go as far as to say it's bloody obvious, because if you look at Aston Villa and all the other big clubs that have done this today, they've got the same trainers, they've got the same pullover, they've got the same T-shirt, they've got the same £70 football. And also, I'll get the Aston Villa one up, right? Because Aston Villa one is funny, right? Because just to show you how carbon copy it is, one of the things that went and did the rounds was the John Collins Kieran Tierney picture. Now, I don't know who this guy is, but this is the Aston Villa picture. It's the exact same, isn't it? It is right out of the textbook, right out of the playbook. He's even got the same expression on his face as John Collins. So, we can talk about the merch drop if you want, but personally, I don't think there's any like cynical, money-hungry, border death angle to this happening today. Just to be frank, it's very much Adidas did this today. It all kind of went that way. So I just thought I would kind of just put that out there, just in case any of you didn't see that or pick up on it. And we can still chat about it. And I think I've kind of touched on it in a sense, but whatever you thought, whatever you think. The top thing that's got the votes here is Rodgers not extending, which I think is definitely something I would want your thoughts and feelings on as well. I don't really know. When I'm doing these Celtic streams, I like to show you stuff. I don't like to just sit one to the camera and just like, oh, let's just do this, because it makes me a bit uncomfortable after a while, if I'm honest. And normally I like to try and show some stuff. But it is a topic for a video I've got on the notepad here to do. And it is, if I was in charge, who would I pick to replace Brendan Rodgers should he not extend? Because from where I sit, and I've been very consistent on this, and I stand by it to this point, where at the end of the transfer window, my opinion is, was, and remains, someone has to be sacked and held out for how bad the window was. And yes, Celtic can be a multi-window thing. 2 seconds. Apologies, gang. Apologies. Had to grab the mini Quinnies and flush their heads down the toilet. I'm only joking. So where was I? Sorry. Yeah. So there's a topic that I've kind of got there because, like, I think someone has to be made accountable for the transfer window and the way it went. Even if you're just looking at Celtic as a corporate entity, it's such a catastrophic failure to not get the business done, to not qualify, etc., etc. And or what I want, and or it's probably an and, but it's probably going to be an or, is Brendan gets an extension. Brendan spoke about this in press conferences before the international break that, you know, like he would need some sort of adjustments to the parameters involved at the club and etc. So I believe if Brendan signs on, we will get a degree of change. Will we get all the change that we want in terms of the transfer policy and activity? Hard to say for certain, but if Brendan signs, I think you could almost guarantee that the dial will have been moved, the tap will have been turned, and things might ease up a little bit. So I am very much, and you know, we can talk about tactics and versatility and all the rest of it. Not perfect, but I am very much in the Brendan in camp. Just quite frankly, best man for the job, and you know, not perfect, not without room for improvement, like any other human being, but very much in the Brendan in camp. But that does, you know, it's a 50-50 thing. He either stays or he doesn't. And if he doesn't, and even if he does, like, he's not going to be here forever. So if he doesn't, who should Celtic be looking at is a very interesting topic and a very interesting thought experiment to go down. And I've already got 2 names on it. I kind of want to build it up to maybe 3 or 4. And probably by the next international break, that'll be a topic that we'll do here on the channel. As something, someone said, Marcelo Gallardo, no. No, it's not going to happen. We just will not be able to pay that guy. No, I just don't see it. You never know. You never know. It would fit very much, but in terms of, you know, River Plate and all that stuff, Argentinian kind of fire. But no, so I've got a list. I've got a 2-man list. I want to get up to at least 4, and that'll be something that we'll talk about. But because, like a lot of you guys are saying in here, you don't think Brendan will extend. Let me do a little. Let me end this. Let me end this, and let me do. There's a wee poll in the chat. Stay or go, Brendan? What do you think is going to happen with him at the end of the season? Will he stay or will he go? I'm hoping more than being rational about it, to be honest with you. But I do think he will. I want him to stay. So I just cannot imagine him. Like, I really do think he wants to be a Champions League manager. I really do think the job security and everything that comes around him being Celtic manager, he will not get anywhere else. And if we could really just get our act together, the Celtic job should be the best job in the world. You know, competing for trophies, pushing the dreams of fans in the Champions League, you know, unearthing emerging talent, helping players develop, being involved in an exciting club that is moving towards stuff. Really doesn't get much better, I think, on paper. In reality, as we know, it's maybe a bit different, and maybe that's the sticking point there. Let me know your thoughts and feelings. I've got a feeling the majority of you are going to go with he's not going to be here, and in which case we will have some interesting discussions to be had in terms of who should replace him, what caliber of manager we're going for, what is the profile, and ultimately we'll then see, you know, how the chips fall. January window will be quite revealing in this regard as well. Again, I don't think it was really interesting with the Michael Nicholson shrug that, you know, like, why does Brendan refer to some of them as club signings? And we did the whole breakdown for that. Just to repeat one little snippet, I was quite of the opinion of, like, Michael Nicholson could easily have just said, Brendan doesn't, you know, these are long, he mentioned terms. He said short, medium, and long-term players. Will be signing somebody for the short term, like Ian Acho, he's going to come in and play right away. And maybe sign Inamura, who's a long-term guy. And all Nicholson had to say at that point was, the club makes long-term signings, you know, really. And that's our job as the club, is to make sure there's always a core, there's always a conveyor belt to some extent of players that could be used and brought through. And he didn't, he just shrugged. So there's clearly like a disconnect there, and what that means in itself is another thing. But like, even I'm kind of off on a bit of a tangent here, but I do think even the club signings thing, it's not the end of the club should be making its own signings. It's very normal. Somebody was asking in a live chat last night, is it normal for CEOs to be involved in all the transfer stuff the way that Nicholson and Mackay is? And I think overall it is. But one thing I was thinking about after the stream is that maybe not for like every deal. You know, if you're going right to the top of the food chain, we're talking about Chelsea's, Man City's, and Liverpool's, for example, last night. You know, the absolute head honchos are involved in like the Alexander Isak transfer, the Florian Wirtz transfer, the main primary targets. They're not involved in the, you know, signing the academy wonder kid guy that you're stealing from Barcelona, or, you know, these types of things. That'll be more the football director type people, which we don't really have at the club at the moment, it feels like. But yeah. Yeah, that would have been a good question for the press conference. That, you know, you previously called somebody a club signing. Michael Nicholson publicly is on the record as saying he doesn't know what the fuck you're talking about. So going to explain it to us. Great point, San Fran. That'd have been a great question in the press conference. Someone did try and reference the minutes and stuff like that, but that would have been a much better way to go about it. Good point there. We've got a bunch of votes in the poll. If you haven't done so already, please do smash the like button, get voting in the poll, and let me know what you're thinking and feeling. I'm going to go and pull up the tactics board because we do have a predicted team from yesterday, and I just, after a while, I don't think you guys just want to sit and look at me. Right? I get a bit uncomfortable just sitting here long enough. So we did have a predicted team for Celtic versus Dundee tomorrow, which did include Daizen Maeda, who we now know is no longer going to be part of the matchday squad. He is unavailable. And that maybe just cleans things up a little bit for, well, I was saying this to McBride when we were chatting. I really think Balikwisha is going to start. We get no inclination or anything over the starting lineup. Tuneki played right wing in internationals. All of you guys in the chat were aware of that. It doesn't feel like any journalists were aware of that. And we have no right wing options coming into the game. It feels like because no one asked anything. Is Yang going to start? Forrest could start. I think we could all see that, of course. But why didn't anyone ask about Balikwisha? Why didn't anyone ask about what you could do with right wing, Brendan? Tuneki played for Tunisia. This is when I'm kind of edging it now. I think this is the way you'll go because I think you could start with this front three. You've got Forrest and Yang and Kenny on the bench. So you can always like do like for likes and swap them around. But yeah. You good? Yeah, I'm good, Dan. I'm good. Sorry. No, just there's chaos. There's chaos in Casa de Quinn. So I just had to make sure everyone was alive and you know, something terrible hadn't just happened. But Mrs. Quinn is on it now, so I don't need to worry, which is good. But yeah, I think he'll play Tunic. I would be very surprised. He's already kind of ruled Balikwisha out of the right-hand side. We've already been over that. But if you start one of them, and then you're starting Forrest and Yang as a rotation and you're swapping these two guys over 90 minutes, I don't think you're really getting the most out of the team. I don't think you're really learning as much from the players as well. Balikwisha and Iheanacho, if you've been keeping up with, we spoke about this last night just to touch on it quickly, but if you keep up with the social media posts from Celtic, Balikwisha and Iheanacho have got a wee bromance on the go. And Tuneki on the right, like, why not, man? Why not? Dundee, if I can go and get them. Oh, I didn't save. Oh, for the love of Jimmy's. Really? Oh, well, I've not got the team set up. I'm not going to bother with it, but they're going to give us a lot of time and space. We're not going to see Negren play out here. Could Engels play out here? We spoke quite a lot on the preview for the Motherwell game after we've seen the subs against Braga. That maybe, or was it the other way around? I forget, sorry. But we did see Engels playing in a weird kind of right mid shape. We've seen him play left mid essentially against Motherwell at the dying embers of the game. And, you know, maybe Engels could be part of some funky kind of workaround here. Wouldn't rule out maybe some sort of, like if we take Bernardo, who he's ill, McCowan, it's easy to imagine he doesn't start. But if we imagine maybe we did something, let's take Tuneki out of here. Or maybe Negren is like a false right winger or Engels in that situation. And you turn it into like a box midfield and then you've got your striker. And then you've got your wide playmaker. We focus everything down the left. AJ tucks in as a centre back, and Tierney and Sriracha have got license to run the line. That could work quite nicely. I'm a fan of, for the players we've got, Engels in particular, Hitate, a box midfield kind of development. I think we get a lot out of our midfield areas, our players, and in general, I'm a big fan of controlling the centre ground, as a lot of you guys who are regulars on the channel will know. So no Maeda actually has a lot of fun things to think about coming into the game, like how will the manager problem solve? What will we get more from the players? Because even later in the match, Ian Nacho would maybe come off and Dyson would play centre forward. That's not going to happen now. Johnny Kenny is in the Europa League squad. You've got to think the fullbacks are probably going to get subbed in this game. Will he sub all of the front three? I can see Balikwisha clocking a 90, but maybe Tuneke gets a 60, Ian Nacho gets a 60, and we see the likes of maybe Forrest and Kenny come off the bench to finish the game off for us. You get your sub in midfield, and then you rotate the two fullbacks. Has Brendan ruined Engels? I don't think so. I don't know what that means, but I'm not on the south side. I've not got a castle, and I don't know how to feel about the word peasant being used. So I've got no idea where any of that came from. The right hand side attacking will become better once AJ is up to speed. Yeah, totally. But it's kind of like, who is AJ going to link with? Dyson is probably an easy shout, but doesn't feel like we're going to have him for the weekend, with the view, I think, that him and AJ will be optimised for Sturm Graz. Now, somebody said earlier in the chat, don't care about Europa League, and I get that, but you'll care if we get beat. Like, that's the thing, and I try and say this all the time. As much as we don't care about Europa League, if we lose, we'll care. We will feel it, whether we're telling ourselves whether we care or not before the game. If we get beat off them, we will care. They beat Rangers. They put one of the final nails in the coffin of Russell Martin, and I don't think we want any of that. You know, we should be putting them to task in a big way, really rubbing their noses in it. We should be rinsing them, putting a real statement out there, and then smash Hearts, get back top of the table, and normal services resumed. Celtic to kick on from there. That's the plan of attack. I think that has to be the mantra, the attitude from everyone over the next week, 10 days, whatever it works out to be at from point of recording. And I'm going to end the poll here. It's 3/4 of you think he will not be here at the end of the season, which saddens me. I'm not going to lie. The other thing, yes, we had Neil Lennon coming out praising Desmond and all the rest of it, saying how smart they are and all the rest of it. You guys didn't think it was too big of a story. And, you know, like, it's one of those ones where you kind of know where Lennon's bread's buttered, I think, with comments like that. And that kind of is what it is. But it does very much feel like, just to give my 2 cents on it, and feel free to throw them back at me in the chat. But as much as it's like, yeah, he knows where his bread's buttered and all the rest of it, like, why? This is the thing I always ask myself with these things. The Brendan Rodgers BBC interview also got me thinking like this. Like, these things are arranged in general. Like, Neil Lennon doesn't wake up in the morning and go, I'm going to write this story in the Sun or whatever. I don't know if he has an article. Actually, that's maybe something I should have thought about. But in general, like, if he's going to put that out there, it's not a surprise to him. He's well aware of, this is how I'm feeling. Point I'm kind of getting to with that is, has he been put up to it? You know, like, you owe us, Lenny. I want to see some real public support from you. You're in our corner, you know. So I know people are saying like, oh, he's tone deaf and all the rest of it, but like, is somebody maybe cashing a favour on him? And I'm not excusing the tone deaf nature of it and the one-sided take he's given on it from what I've seen. But again, like the Adidas thing, like, is Lennon really doing this off his own back, or has he had someone pulling the strings behind his back to make him do this now? Yeah. Oh, good, fine, I guess. I wasn't sure if you were I wasn't sure if you were trolling. And yeah, I'm sure all this is perfectly valid as well. Like, what job would he do at Celtic? Like, he's never going to be manager again, like, surely. So what else could he actually want in terms of a gig? If he wasn't so in with them, I wouldn't mind Lennon in some sort of, not quite director of football, but maybe like some sort of overseer type situation, because Lennon really does know the fabric of the club, you know. So yeah, that's how I kind of felt about that. And yeah, like, he's not done himself any favors with his support. Why would he do that? Has he been put up to it? It's just something I thought I would throw into that, you know. Director of refreshments, B team coach. Yeah, like, yeah, fine. Does he really want to be the B team coach? But he's probably quite happy doing the TV gigs he's got and his little newspaper thing or whatever. I won't. I promise. I'll edit that out the stream. And yeah, I've seen some of that chat going around as well. I don't see it. I don't see it. Love that, Simon Fideni. Great comment there. Great comment. The other point we had was the merch thing. I've kind of spoke about that. I was very tempted to buy some of it, but I was not getting off my backside to go to the shop. Don't really have, like, couldn't believe the price of the hoodie, man. 230 quid. I was like, whoa. But, you know, we've spoke about merch drops on the channel a fair bit over the years, or over the year. And I did say to you with some of these other ranges when they came out, like, I wasn't a big fan of them, but when they go on sale, I might be interested in them. Obviously, not another penny, so I won't be, right? And I'm not going to keep this on screen for too long, but some of the stuff that was wildly priced, I don't think it's really on this page, is it? But like the Adidas collections, what one is it? Maybe Origins? Yeah, this is the one that really caused all the kerfuffle back when it was like £90 a t-shirt, £70 joggies. I think the joggies were more expensive than £70 initially, but all this stuff is coming down in price. And I thought, I really like the joggies. I'm not going to lie. Oh, maybe a wee pair of joggies, but no, not another penny. Not another penny. I'm not going to do it. So I was kind of tempted until I seen that earlier today from the fans. I was like, okay, going to take advantage of a sale, but I guess I won't. Saw the gutties for 110. I don't think that's see for trainers, man. Trainers are expensive. Like, I don't think that's really that egregious. And the specials, they're trainers you don't wear. You keep them in the box. And again, like, it's just the price of merch. Like, again, like, I don't want to say what I'm about to say, but there is no other way of kind of me expressing what I'm about to say, right? I like a little bit of football fashion, right? In terms of, like, I like seeing, like, I've got Como here. I'm going to put on Como. I've got some cracking gear. And Como, they're maybe trying to be a wee bit too hoity-toity, yacht clubby, you know, like Como in Italy. It's a wee bit kind of highbrow, isn't it? But some of their gear is pretty smashing, but look at that, €175. Now, maybe they're Venezia are kind of like the. Let's look at the shop for a quick second. I maybe check this out once a month just to see some of the gear. Like, some of it's cracking, man. It's very expensive, but I don't mind a bit of this. It's football gear, like good gear, like not football strips, but see stuff you can wear out and it looks cool. You could go to a nice place. You could go out with friends. Especially if it's foreign. Like, if you wore Como stuff around Glasgow, you're fine. Wearing Celtic stuff around Glasgow, even if it's like super cool, is just taboo. You know, it just is. So you can't really wear Celtic stuff around Glasgow too much. Like, if I was going out Saturday night with some friends, I'm not wearing anything Celtic related, like in terms of blatant crest badge on it. Maybe some of the subtle stuff, I would maybe do it. Maybe the trainers, I would. So, like, you're kind of selling it to people outside of Glasgow, I think, a lot of the time, in terms of the fashion-y kind of stuff. We'll just look at Venezia. I've not looked at the Venezia shop in, like, years because it's just super overpriced. But these are the ones that have kind of started the whole football kind of, we're going to sell our shit for so much. Even the tops are mad expensive. But football gear, like good gear, it's just expensive. There's just no two ways about it. Home jersey, €100. And this is a rip-off, obviously, for their fans. Some of them aren't even really that nice. Like, this white one's kind of okay, I guess, but that's quite cool. I quite like that purple one. Is that a goalkeeper top? Pre-match jersey. That's cool. I like that. That's quite cool as well. How much are these? €75 each for a little t-shirt. This stuff is on level up on the Celtic stuff as well. This is like proper, like, highbrow, isn't it? But gear's expensive, man, is all I've got to say to that. I'm not saying anything. I'm not giving anyone tips or anything. I normally, I've not had Donkey before. I normally get Jimmy Carr, and there's another one I normally get for the laugh. I can't remember what it is, but thanks. Eddie Murphy, which is Donkey from Shrek, actually, so maybe that's what it is. Not if you're in Glasgow. Not if you're in Glasgow, sadly for me. Yeah, so, yeah, Roma third top. Again, like that kind of thing, I'm all about that. Like, I'd buy the Roma third top and, like, wear it out. But, you know, again, me personally, I normally tend to wear a lot of football tops on camera, so I then, like, don't feel like I'm wearing clothes, you know, like, it's just feel, I don't want to say like a uniform, but it's kind of like a wardrobe, isn't it? In that sense. So Yeah, I think we're just kind of running off into just chatting about nonsense now in a way. From the talking points we had, no one cared about the transfer business, especially Brendan. We spoke about, I guess, Lennon and Desmond, the merch drop thing, and we went through the press conference. We spoke about Daisa Maeda being out and maybe some of the permutations that has into the preview for the weekend. I'm really grateful and thankful to everyone that has tuned into this live. There's been a bunch of yous here, especially putting up with the maybe a wee bit of the noise that's coming through from the background. So thanks very much. If you're watching this after we've been live, huge fist bumps to yourself. If you haven't done so, please do hit the subscribe button. It really goes a long way to supporting me, CeltsAreHere, the content, everything at the channel, at the platform, at the site. So thanks very much. Shout out to everyone that does support us on Substack as well. It's £1 a week, £4 a month. You get all the videos that go out on YouTube without any ads, which is great. And you get access to all the insider scoops, all the articles and details that are behind the paywall. You get access to all of that as well. So if you haven't done so, please feel free to check it out. The links are in the description of the video. And yeah, if you're traveling to Dundee, travel safe, have fun at the game. I hope we all have a great time watching it, of course. And I'll see you on the channel for the match breakdown, which will probably come out Monday. Thanks to everyone. Have a great weekend. Hail, hail, and Mon the Hoops.